Schnorenbergs who are buried here. One is Herman, one is Jacob. They married, they're brothers, and they married two sisters on the same day in this church, right here, St. Lawrence Church. The ladies, the brides, had on identical dresses and identical bouquets. Then they went to the farm where these gentlemen grew up and had a reception. 150 people, followed by a dance. Then on the table is the little stories in the newspaper talk about. They had artificial lakes with swans. It was long before Hobby Lobby, so I do not know how this happened, but it must have been darling. So they had a good time and they had a good life. They were married in 1917, and 2 years after 1917 was Prohibition. And about 5 or 6 years into Prohibition, the brothers decided they would also get into the act of moonshining, which I'm carrying a little flask. And they distilled, one brother did the distilling with mash. Mash is water, yeast, cracked corn or any grain, and sugar. And you boil it up in the still and you have a constant fire running. And then it condenses and it drips into bottles. So the second brother, the other brother, Jacob, he took it and hid that product at his farm, which is the neighboring farm. This all went on just nicely until 1927 when the feds show up, arrested the men, even though Herman tried to escape and was burned because he knocked over his still. So where was the still? This was interesting today because the newspaper articles that we have access to said that the still was in a basement under the chicken coop, which is why I'm wearing my chicken coop apron. But the grandson of Herman Schnorenberg was here today, and he said that it was a pigsty. So if you want to have your hooch out from under a chicken coop or a pigsty, you can choose. And then the owner of the house where this all took place, where they lived, she said, no, they made it in the basement. So we have 3 stories. Well, what's better than 1 story is 2 stories. What's better than 2 stories? 3 stories. So we have that. Anyway, the men were hauled off to prison, and then more lore and fun begins, and that is that they bribed the jailer to let them come back and work in their still and go back before dawn. So how much truth there is, we don't know. But the men were very unhappy because the feds showed up without a warrant. So they took it to the Supreme Court, and the judge, now here we have 2 stories as well. The judge said, if my men could smell this stuff, we knew there was a crime going on. They didn't need a warrant. But the other story is that they hired a lawyer, and it's possible both stories are true. They hired a lawyer, and the lawyer got them out of jail because of the warrant thing. So then they carried on a normal life, and they farmed, and they had children and grandchildren and the rest of it. And they died, and they're buried here with their wives. So, I mean, the story really does revolve around the church, around Prohibition, and a wonderful story of 2 charming young ladies from Milwaukee who met 2 charming farmers and got married on the same day, which was a Tuesday. And somebody was here today and she said that was common. So we learned a lot, and now we have more questions than we actually have answers. Was it a pigsty? Was it a chicken coop? Why did you get married on a Tuesday? And that's the fun of these. It's just fun that we end up with more to know than we came to tell.